We tend to think of memory as a bunch of drawers where we store information and it's always there, so when we need it, we just pull open the drawer. And sometimes we accidentally lock a drawer and we can't find the key, but it's in there somewhere deep inside. Wrong. That's kind of how we want to think of memory, because the alternative is far less straightforward, and to be honest, nobody really completely understands it. But today, I'm going to give you a couple reasons why memory is really weird. To understand any of why memory is not a simple thing, you have to understand that it is not just an area with stored information. Memory is a creative process. Whenever you remember something, you recreate it in your head. That means whenever you remember something, you're not just picking it out of your past, you're making it from scratch. So every time, little things are probably a bit off. Which means the memories we hold the closest, the memories we remember the most often, are probably the least accurate. And since memories aren't stored away, it is possible to completely lose them. They aren't there deep inside. And literally no memories are safe from this. There are none that are too close to us to be lost. The chance that you forget your own name is totally possible, just extremely unlikely. Another weird thing, eternal sunshine of the spotless mind. Basic plot if you haven't seen the movie, girl has fight with guy, and they both get a procedure done to completely erase their memories of each other from their minds. And that is probably possible. An experiment was done with rats. Pretty much there was a tone, and they shocked the rat. And then they played the tone again, the rat froze, realized it was going to be shocked again, and then it was. Now they get another rat and they do the same thing, but as they're playing the tone, they inject a chemical into the rat's brain that stops proteins from being formed, which also stops new memories from being created. So this time the rat hears the tone a second time, and is surprised a second time. Okay, but once the memories are already there, they're there, right? They can't just be taken out. But remember, memory is a creative process. So they play the tone, shock the rat, and now every time this happens, the rat is going to remember and realize it is going to be shocked. But if they inject the chemical into the rat as it's remembering, the rat forgets. They play the tone again, and the rat is surprised. Memories can be removed. Silence, the creatures in Doctor Who that are forgotten as soon as you're not looking at them, could also be possible. But we still feel pretty confident about the memories we do have, right? There must be some truth to them. Actually, completely false memories can be created. If a lot of other people say they remember something that happened to you, even if it actually didn't, it can trick your brain and turn it into what seems like a memory. And you can have a very vivid memory of it. Your brain can add in details that weren't originally told to you by others. Also, your memory skips stuff and ignore some things. There was an experiment in the 1990s where participants were shown a video. It was a video of people throwing a basketball around, 3 of them wearing black and 3 of them wearing white. The participants were told to watch the number of times that the people wearing white passed the ball. And if you want to try this for yourself, before I tell you what the answer is, pause the video, and you can do that over at theinvisiblegorilla.com/videos.html. Okay, the answer was 15 passes. But that is actually completely uninteresting. The interesting part is that a guy in a gorilla suit walked across the room. About half of the participants did not even notice. We have selective attention. If we're paying attention to one thing, our brains don't pay attention to others. The same people did another experiment where they placed someone on the street to ask another person for directions. And then they had someone walk between them carrying a door, and as they passed, someone standing behind the door switched places with the person asking for directions. And half the victims in this experiment didn't notice and just continued giving directions. That there is called change blindness, and it happens more than people would like to think, just with things like continuity errors in movies and things like that. There are more examples on the website. Another really bizarre thing is the things our memory can be affected by. Like hand motions make it much easier for you to remember things. That's actually applicable in many situations. If you need to memorize a speech, make hand motions. If you're studying for a math quiz, count on your fingers. Stuff like that helps. And finally, the thing that I personally remember as the weirdest thing I found about memory: walking through doors. You know how you walk into your room to get your pencil and then suddenly you just don't remember why you walked into your room in the first place and leave again? There are reasons for that. You enter another room and your brain thinks of it as a new environment, and since it's a new environment, the old one doesn't really matter anymore, so your brain just forgets it. This even works with digital animations. That's how strong the illusion is. It can, however, be prevented if you talk as you walk through the door. The weirdest things affect our minds, and our minds work in the weirdest ways, and it's weird. But I find it kind of amazing that our brains that are so confusing and fragile work to make our world clearer and stronger, and how our brains can manage to work past all those confusions so that our memories still help us. That is weird, but that is wonderful.